Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. So today we are going to be doing the homework. Um, I really don't have nothing until November 11th to do, but I will get acquainted with Project 3. So let's look at the syllabus again, see where we're at. Once we look at the syllabus, because I remember my teacher telling me that we have to pair up in the 7th week of course, which I already am ahead of the game. My classmate already written some things, and I don't want to do damage to the paper. That's why I said my expertise is talking, even though sometimes, I'm not a strong talker, but, you know, so let's get started. Let me take y'all off. So while I'm pulling that up, I'm pulling up my online student portal. We're going to take it real slow. And then we're going to put the paper through the writing tutor. Um, I'm trying to find it. Give me a second. Did I tell y'all the story of how gangster this spider was? There was like it I've seen about, like, in the summertime I've seen bugs, like tiny little bugs, like flies and bees, at my vanity. But this spider, this spider was so gangster, and I felt so bad for him or her. You know, what it did was so real. I was like, wow. But I don't mean to talk about a bug being gangster, but I'll tell you what, it invaded my space. In other words, it invaded my space. So I was like, okay, I had to execute it. And I hate to say it that way. I don't mean to smile and say it. It's embarrassing to say, you know, um, because, you know, it invaded my space. So I was like, wow, man, what if, anything could have happened, if it bit me, I was like, wow. But I have only seen two spiders, and we don't get spiders like that here in Seattle, but I only seen two spiders since I've been here because this is a brand new place. So, and I'm all the way on the top floor. But since I keep my window open, you know, wonders like the drop in. I'm okay with that though, as long as they don't invade my space. So I'm not gonna write him just yet. But what I will do, follow me at the Kimberly Cloud Show 39 on Facebook so you can see what I'm doing. I said we were gonna look at the syllabus first. If I had to compare the spider to someone, I would say the spider was like, um, the gangs just invading your space, just get all up in your space. I was so scared. I was like, no, buddy, don't invade my space. Now, if it was just somewhere where I saw it from a distance, I could have picked it up and just put it back outside. But, you know, RIP to the bug, too. RIP to the bug, man. Hold on. Project 2 is due. So I got 11 days, well, 10. So let's do this. Oh, it's in here. Effective Writing Center and Tutoring. Submit your paper. Have you ever, it's like Trende Aragua. you know, they on the boat, they on government territory. You see them on a boat just, rocking on the waves. They being one with the ocean. Uh, Email, no, writing resources, academic support. Where is that at? Okay, so it's this page. I was going to go here next anyway. Writing resources. They were pretty good at and accurate. I have no problem. I have no problem with UMGC. We're back in the same place. This is the only thing. Tutoring services and resources. Writing resources. Revising. I want to look at this, but hold up. Wait a minute, you guys. I have, let's see, Writing Center. How did I do it last time? That's not it. Me, hold on. I didn't choose this. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send it to them, and then via email. I don't know if, I think the email that I have within the school is only connected to my classmates and my teacher. But it's another one, but I don't know how to get to it. So give me a second, you guys. Oh my God, people are at food banks. Have y'all ever been to a food bank? That is such a sad experience. It is a sad, sad thing. And like I said previously, in conjunction with how people do other people wrong, food banks are the same way. Okay, here we go. Attachment or my writing, editing process. That's too deep. That's like a riddle. I'm not the riddler. um, here is an attachment. I need this edited. That's more like that. More like it. I need this edited and sent back to me. Hello. I wanted to first tell you guys that, and I'm gonna still fish around to see what I can see and see if I can find that tutor thing because I had it before. I was there. It's very hard to get to. Hello. No. I wanted to first to tell you guys first that I am honored to be a part of this college. I wanted to tell you that my paper is not all the way perfect. I needed, is that two ends? I needed you guys to edit the paper and send it back to me. Thanks, Kimberly. First, I'm going to pause there. We're going to pause and open up Word and look at my errors. The LEAP app, developed by me.org, aims to help military service members integrate into civilian jobs into a civilian job status quo. This is through through the data-driven job matching, resume tools, and networking features. So they basically help with job matching, resume tools, and networking. So you can collaborate with, but the amount of users, which only the graph says 200 or 500, but um, the networking features is when you collaborate, and the data says that um, they only went up to 6.45 or 54, sorry, 54 average interviews. And then basically the junior NCOs basically had roughly 8 to 9 years of service, and then there was a right skill drop. Um, High school education was the majority. Average weight was 157. Woo, you fat. I'm just 150. And a low TBI incidence, 4.8. Traumatic brain injury. Key performance metric. Average, like I said, 6.54 job interviews per user, which is an indication of moderate success and limited outcomes. But since there was a high rate of PTS, you have to think how many soldiers, this is fake data, but we're reading it like real data, how many soldiers that got out, with PTS or both PTS or TBI or PTS and TBI, how many soldiers that got out, what did they do? They only did 6.54 jobs. And that means that since they did 6.54 job interviews, that they got bored or no one was helping them, or we can only assume that. Let me read it, finish reading. An analysis of 500 app users show a predominantly junior enlisted profile. 6.4 junior NCOs within 8 to 9 years of service, and a high school education plus average weight and an analysis of 500 app users shows a predominantly junior enlisted profile. There's nearly 60% of junior NCOs. That should be capitalized. A high school diploma. No, that's not. Yeah, it is. Plus the average weight is 157, and their And high school education plus average weight is 157, and there is a low TBI incidence of 4.8, average 6.54 interviews per user, which is an indication of moderate success and limited outcomes. So if you don't go to the whole program, that's considered moderate to limited outcomes. You're not going to get a job. How many people didn't get a job because of limited outcomes of not going to all of the job interviews? This is due to lack of commitment and lack of accommodations with the app. And sometimes the app got boring. It didn't have everything. It kept saying coming soon, or it was just a blank page. It's not enough data for the veteran. Wait, this is due to lack of commitment or the or lack the accommodations, lack of the accommodations with the app. It is not enough data for the veteran to learn to attain commitment towards job searching and keeping a job. Yeah, like when you go job searching, when you find a job, do you keep that job? How long can you keep and retain a job? Especially with a mental health or traumatic brain injury. You know, if you utilize the gold standard CBT with all of the new stuff coming out, you would be able to, you know, extend your mental health and extend your traumatic brain injury. Hi, Doug. um, the veterans, hold on. The data set statistics has effective targeting, which is the demographics with 45% of users securing a job. That's like 15. I can't really do the math, but um 25 to 35% could be junior or more could be the junior NCOs. And then they do not continue the interviews, which shows the veterans do not support me or its technology goals. Their gaps include a right skill data specific figure, such as figure 1, which talks about the number of service members who got out. Their their rank as separation. There are underrepresented higher numbers for people with post-traumatic stress or traumatic brain injury users, TBI. 85% of users had no PTS, while 25% had post-traumatic stress. This data will be analyzed based on the data I've read. The LEAP app only failed at finding 55% of veterans don't have a job. Where is that? Yeah, don't have a job. Yeah, I said that right. There are 55% without a job, while 3% telecommute, and the other 40% have a job. There are 55% without a job, comma, while the other 3% telecommute, and the other 42% have a job. So 42% have a job, and how many of them have high school diplomas? We'll get into the data later. Um, there is a correlation, but no graph of them getting picked up or catch the bus or public transportation. So, you know, out of the the 45%, the 3% that telecommute and the 43 or 42%, you know, telecommute means they stay at home. The other 42% have a job. So these 42% that have a job, they sorry, I messed that up. Sorry. Let's see. 3%. Let me look at the graph real quick. I didn't want to have to go there. 42% do not telecommute. Exactly. Okay. I got confused there for a second. Let's go back up. I just reset it. 42% have a job. So they do not telecommute, which is work from home. Or I got that backwards. Let me make sure. Let's look at the graph again. Okay, let me hold on. In order to get this, say this the right way, let me look it up. Hold on, y'all. Give me just a second. Telecommute definition, just to be sure, because you know the way it sounds. When I explain, yes, yes. So the way it sounds, telecommuting, it's like you're commuting somewhere. So I'm thinking I'm getting confused from that word. So, you know, if you don't know it very well, it means remote work, like the teacher said, right here in black and white. So, where was I at? So, 3% work from home, while the other percent do not 42% do not telecommute. They do not, they drive to work. But overall, I'll get to that in a second. Hold on. There's a correlation with no graph for them getting picked up, catching the bus, or public transportation. Did they get picked up? The ones that don't telecommute. Did they catch the bus or public transportation? How many of them with a high school diploma comes back to just public transportation? Which public transportation isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if security isn't there and if other measures isn't put in place, then it can be a nightmare. I I I don't even want to talk about what I've seen over the years, but it's been some questionable weirdo stuff with public transportation. But catching a bus or public transportation like a shuttle or something. I remember when I used to go to BCCC, Baltimore City Community College, I used to have to catch the shuttle. So the 42% have a job, and how many of them have a high school diploma? How many? I didn't get the graph where it talks about masters, doctorates, bachelors, associates, and just high school diploma. So there are 55% without a job, while 3% telecommute, and the other 42% have a job. There's a correlation, but no graph of them getting picked up, catching the bus, or public transportation. The data did not acknowledge the people who did not telecommute, catch the bus, train, Uber to work. The people who did not telecommute, hold on, that could be wrong. Here we go. Yep, that is wrong. I can take that out. Weight and height doesn't matter, and why or how my logistics will prove what the Leap app is lacking. The problem is that is trying to be solved is how many people can attract to the app and what will be the reason behind the 55% would attract to the app, period. Also, what would be the reason behind 55% of veterans not having a job? Just only 54 job interviews show that something happened between the sixth. No. And seventh interview that made veterans that use the app turn away. This will show statistical data about how there is not enough data or security measures for the app. The methods I use to apply my data has been descriptive analysis, bar chart, and histogram to analyze what is missing and or lacking. I will prove the lack of analysis with the app to show participation and declining between the seventh interview. This gives an indication that the correlation with the statistical data that the majority of junior NCOs with 7 to 9 years of service that has a high school diploma I have to admit that's an incomplete thought. This gives an indication that the correlation that the statistical correlates with how many people had a hospital diploma again? 55, I think. I don't start talking about it yet, but I need to go and see. That's one. That's PTS. I have to get the percentage of high school diploma. It was right there, I think. Yeah. Where is the high school? Where is the high school? Let the service weight in pounds. Instagram shows what? Interviews. Numbers of years. Okay, I'm getting scared. Okay, I thought so. I was like, am I just making stuff up? 56%. I got to go all the way back and read this again. Okay, I'll read it alone. Hold on. I have to find out. And 50% right here. I was close. I was off by a cent. You know, would you go somewhere where they give away 0.05 to the penny? That's crazy, man. That's 0.05. That's half a penny. I hope I'm right. Okay, the reason why I'm being quiet, let me finish. Okay, 50. Okay, let's read this again. This give an indication that the correlation with the statistical data of the majority of the of that many wait that many junior NCOs that should be capitalized with 8 to 9 years of service correlates with but um, um, in that 42% who don't job commute and the 3% that job commutes, the higher the college degree, the lower the chance of that degree that is beyond. That doesn't make sense. Let me read it again. The higher the college degree, the lower the chance that degree is beyond an AA. And what I mean by that, let me see. Let me reword it. The higher the degree, the lower the chances are of graduation. Okay, so the higher the college degree, the lower the chance that the degree, the lower the chance of that degree being, wait, the higher the college degree, such as MA, B, A, AA, I'm so glad that I solved the case, the infamous school case. The higher the college degree, such as MA, BA, AA, high school diploma, the lower the chances of that degree being fulfilled. So let's read it one more time. And the 42% who don't job commute and 3% that telecommute, the higher the college degrees. And the 42% that who don't job commute and then 3% that telecommutes. They the college correlation stands to achieve and that 42% who do not job commute and the college correlation is an extension to this. Okay, that sounds good. And the 42% who don't job commute and the 3% that job commutes, the college correlation is an extension to this equation. This shows frustration and lack of wanting a job due to a shows frustration and lack of wanting a job. This could be due to the 55% who do not have a job. How many of those 85% have a high in that of 14 keep it like that. In that 42% who do not job commute and the other 3% that job commutes. The college correlation is an extension to this equation. The higher the college degree, the lower the chance of that degree being filled. This shows frustration and lack of wanting. This could be the how does this how I hate saying correlation. How does this compares to the 42% with jobs? How does this compare to the 42% with jobs? Is it with jobs or yeah? A majority of high school diploma without an advancement in degrees they may not like the job they have. Most likely they would need the job and not. Where is it at? Okay, want the job. Most of the high school diplomas without an advancement in degrees may not like the job they have. Most likely they would need the job and not want the job. They would need the job and not want the job. Using predictive analytics. And that of 40% and the higher the college there, it shows this could be different. Most of the service members with high school diplomas without an advancement in degree may not like the job they have. Most likely, I don't need to say most likely, they would need the job and not want the job using predictive analytics. There's nothing else that needs to be known for the figure of the analysis other than to look at the graph as I explained surrounding the lead loopholes. It shows that in this bar graph, junior NCOs were at the highest in leaving the military. 275 soldiers were leaving, while the company grade officer dropped, which correlates that junior NCOs dominate the population of the military community. There were 55 soldiers leaving, and there were 55 soldiers leaving, and hold on. Was the company grade officer plus enlisted were neck and neck. But it was around the same time. We do not have the data. Then there was a significant decline of competitive turf with field grade officer, and lastly, no data for general or flag officer. No real accurate data when looked at the graph alone, other than junior NCOs dominating the veteran force statistics. I believe they could possibly make it easier to be a junior NCO versus all other ranks. But there's no data for this. Even if the field grade officers between 24 and 25 service members getting out, it should be higher in figure one. The data proves that there should be more service members getting out. The data proves that there are. We're not going to say that the junior NCOs are at 275. It is right. The data set in the left to the left is with no TBI, 18% have PTS with no TBI. There are 14 that have TBI but no PTS, along with individuals with no TBI. So you can have TBI, TBI, and PTS. PTS. This is a very confusing graph. The vast majority of 96% do not have PTS diagnosis, with the only small fraction of 4%. Among those with TBI, PTS is much more prevalent, 82%. Dang, they getting down like that on the UK? UK man attacking people on trains and stuff. Among those TBI, PTS is much more prevalent with 82%, while 18s do. Post-traumatic stress and TBI has an effect on the amount of appointments was kept, were kept. These statistics do not show how correlation between junior NCOs and oh, hold on. That's true. What I'm talking about is how it affects appointments. You know, the soldiers, the service members kept 6.54 appointments, with TBI the post-traumatic stress has a influences the number of appointments that were kept were kept, which proves that mental health and TBI affects kept appointments. Job placement rates are as follows. 35, which means 30%, 20%. This has some disappointments as well as some advantages. With 50% not having a job, it shows that the junior NCOs either cannot find a job or do not want to hold a job. This is due to the kind of jobs veterans who get info. %3 out of 100%. High WTF, the kind lower the names, the kind of jobs veterans get into, which we do not have the data for at this moment. Maybe the quality of job. Which you do not have for the day. 3% out of 100 telecommute. Actually, 42% they work from home. Data shows that 42% get ride shares. Like, even probably that they do not commute by themselves. If we if we can talk about what's causing the drop in the job and no job, if we can talk about what's causing the drop and no job, we can figure out how to keep a consumer coming back to this app. Wait, How many percent of the junior NCOs want a job? Sorry about this, guys. The data consists of groups A, B, C. Below in the next place, rows consider high, average, low PTSD, and TBI diagnosis. This is not accurate because the chart data sets are 82% with no PTS. The chart of the chart of data set number lowest 10 years you catch TBI, PTS. You know, there's a correlation. That's true. Around 8 to 9 years, up to 10 years. Catch a condition of PTS and TBI. To dig deeper, we got rank after discharge of the job versus job. Instability shows that out of 275. You have to keep saying the same stuff over and over, but wording them according to how he wanted it. So you got high, average, low, high, average, low. 55 service members got out. 55 service member got out. Both enlisted and field grade, but we don't know when they got out. Did they get out? Is this showing they got out at the same time? 55% with no job. They don't work from home, 42%, and 3% commutes. But out of both 3% and 42%, 45% of those 42 and 3% work. That's a plus. But then you got 55% without a job. The users that do not find it user-friendly. Almost finished, you guys. Sorry. Descriptive and predictive. So where is that? Okay, right there. I don't even remember how I got here. Because had I known I was here, I would have been, I made that all for nothing. Now I have to do it again. But at least I sent it off to them and you know, at least this is a new project. Needs to draft due by 11. We're gonna say 5/20/25. 11/6/2025. Descriptive analytics. I talk about graph bars, histograms. I want to know how my errors and how to fix. Thanks. I just have grammar errors and need your help fixing them. I'm gonna try to get here before I'm gonna submit this and talk to the teacher. Let me close out of this. Go to tutor. Try to do it again so I can remember. See, this is where I got stuck. And this is where it is. It pops up on its own, I think. Let me try it one more time. 7:11, 10:11, and Central Time is 9. Okay, so pretty much I have submitted the writing center submission, and pretty much I have submitted it where I went in and revised it myself, and then I submitted it to the writing center. Um, so that will be my show, and then I will get in the project there because I still later because I still have project two to do. So yeah, so I don't want to cross the streams. So what I'm gonna do is get off of here. It's been 1 hour 44 minutes. It seemed like I blinked, and now it's an hour and 44 minutes. I tried to give myself 30 minutes, and I was like, okay, it's an hour and 44 minutes, basically, and an hour and 14 minutes more. But I want to tell y'all something, you guys. I have a habit of I have my kind of papers, I have to go back and look at it. I understand my writing, but it's not um adequate for me either. So he he is kind of like coaching me through this and with suggestions and advisements, you know. So I'm trying my best, And I didn't think it was important. I'm like, okay, I'll describe something and, you know, that'll be that, but I see where I lack and what I have to do in order to at least try to get an A in the class. Even if I don't, whether I do or don't, it doesn't matter. So, that kills me, that's why a lot of teachers understand where I'm coming from. Um, he does too, but every teacher is different, you know, um, every teacher is different. And statistics is hard. Statistics is very hard because the way you got to word it and how you got to say it and how you must form it, it's hard. I probably end up taking like a class on um for beginners. I know it's mean, medium, mode, but just give me a course where the teacher is talking. That's what I'm used to, the 80s babies. The teacher is talking and I'm watching a video, and bam, I learn it. I can rewind it, I can go back, I can fast forward, I can pause it, but I can hear it. That's what it's all about, is hearing the material and getting to be engaged and internalize it. There's like hundreds of different maths, and I had psychology statistics, and then I had business management statistics, and now I have leadership management statistics. So, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. This is a different school with different rules, you know. Not to say I didn't put in 150% because I did, but I must read over my stuff because, I don't like getting bad grades, that I remember when I did get bad grades, I was under stress. So, but let me get off of here before I go on a rant about stress and stuff and, you know, things that doesn't matter, But I will say this is about school. I got an F or a withdraw. I don't remember. One and two of the classes, I wasn't putting in enough work. You know, I was under stress with um, the illegal immigrants that were harassing me at the time. And I tried to get, I have to pay for that debt. And I tried to get it off of my bill and but I can't. I can't get it off of my bill or my account. And I had a valid reason, a valid reason. It was sad what happened, but yeah, I would never try to, while I'm on this journey with the University of Maryland, I will never try to put myself in a negative, stressful situation ever again. If it's positive stress, Bring it on, bring it on. But if it's negative stress, stay away, stay away. So I that's how I feel. And it's an honor. It's a huge honor to be a part and a member and a student of UMGC. I didn't just choose y'all because I just chose y'all. I chose y'all because I lived in Maryland. I am born and originated from Washington, D.C. And it's an honor, like I want to grow and y'all are helping me grow and get to that plateau of knowing how to write better. And that I thank you. And for that, I thank you. So, and to you guys out there who watches me on a regular, thank you. Thank you. To the newbies, welcome to the club. Um, yeah. So I don't want to say nothing else, but I will see y'all tomorrow before my computer turns off. I don't want to have to get the cord off, you know. So take care. Bye.
Never waste my time. You